Shannon Sharp and John Legend decided to sit down and talk about many different things, but one of the topics they did decide to bring up was abortion and how the government should not have a say in what a woman does with her body and that she is free to do whatever she wants. But is what they're saying actually accurately true? Well, we're going to find out in today's video. So with that being said, let's see how this conversation about abortion comes up.
Also, that she had a life-saving abortion.
Yeah.
Is that why you're so adamant?
Oh, yeah.
About the situation with that the woman have the right, it's her body, her choice, and Roe v. Wade, what made you so upset that it got overturned after 50 plus years?
Absolutely. Now, I was always pro-choice. Actually, not always. I grew up in the church, and we were taught that, we were supposed to be pro-life when I was growing up in the church.
Right.
But as soon as I became an adult, I just realized that we need that choice. We don't need the government telling us what to do, and women don't need the government telling them what to do with their bodies. And life is complicated, and there are all kinds of reasons why people might want or need an abortion, and the government has no place in that decision.
So John Legend doesn't think the government has a place or right to be in that decision, yet the government, in John Legend's eyes, I'm assuming he's okay with them telling them they have to wear a seatbelt, they can't do drugs, they can't drink and drive, they can't do other things with their body. In fact, he must be okay with the government telling everybody when COVID was happening, oh, hey, you have to get this vaccine, and people were actually losing their jobs because they weren't willing to get the vaccine, but the government was forcing everybody to get vaccines. So I'm curious on, where does John Legend and Shannon Sharp draw the line on saying the government is allowed to tell us when to do these things, but when it comes to abortion, leave that to the women only. Guys, this is foolishness. And we even see John Legend, how he talked about how he grew up in the church and how he was taught in the church that abortion is bad. But then when he became an adult, he realized others. So basically, the church taught him the biblical loving thing to do, and that is life matters. The innocent child in a female's womb matters. But when he got out of church, the world told him that life doesn't matter. That innocent child that's growing, being grown and shaped and formed in the womb, who cares about that child? That's what the world was telling him. So he just decided to fit in with what the world was saying instead of looking at life and going, no, life is precious and beautiful, and abortion is wicked and evil. And he's going to elaborate more in this next clip.
A woman feels every aspect of this thing.
Of birth.
Forcing them to carry something for 9 months that they don't want. A government doing that? That's crazy to me. And then what people don't realize is, when you say, oh, I'm fine with it as long as it's, up to 15 weeks. Like, people that have an abortion after 15 weeks, almost always, they wanted to keep the baby. But there's some kind of complication that came up that they have to have an abortion. So my wife, she was well past 15 weeks when she had to have an abortion. She was miscarrying and bleeding out, and all these things were happening to her.
Her life was in danger.
Her life was in danger. And for the government to say, oh, we need to evaluate this to make sure you're sufficiently dying before you can have an abortion. That's what they're saying in Texas and in Georgia and in all these states where they have Trump abortion bans. They're saying the government needs to evaluate whether you are sufficiently dying before you can have an abortion. Not your doctor, not you and your family, the government. No, stay out of it. Let these women, let them and their families and their doctors make these decisions. We don't need the government to be involved in it.
Clearly, we see here John Legend doesn't know what he's talking about. Clearly, we have to understand and look at the statistics. We have to look at the stats, and we know that the stats tell us that most abortions, one, are done because people just think the baby is an inconvenience. And then we also know that most abortions that are happening are by people who have had multiple abortions because they keep getting pregnant. Guys, that percentage where the woman's life is on the line, or there's rape and incest, guys, those, you cannot base your stance on those. Most people going into abortion clinics are doing it because they had sex outside of marriage or inside of marriage, and they just don't want the baby. And so their idea is just, I want to keep living my life. I don't want to be held down by a child. And so I just want to get rid of this thing. Guys, that is wicked and evil. And for me personally, on a personal level, my wife and I had 2 miscarriages. My wife had to go through 2 DNCs at 10 weeks. Both of those babies were 10 weeks. That was heartbreaking. That was painful. I would do anything to have those 2 babies in my arms today. But those babies didn't make it. And it's sad. But those lives are lives that my wife and I absolutely love and cherish and look at our own. We had 2 beautiful baby boys, Theo and Jackson, that we were not able to meet on this side of eternity. But I'm sure thankful that those babies are in the arms of the Lord and that the first person that they saw was Christ. So, guys, when it comes to this abortion topic, life is of most importance. Choose the baby's life. These abortions that are happening over the millions are because people are just murdering babies in the womb. And I would just encourage you, go do the research and see how dark and demonic the abortion world is. Real quick, guys, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the BTT Ministry YouTube channel, as well as drop a like and leave a comment down below. I would love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like this one over here.